Isn't it fascinating, truly remarkable, how certain stories echo through the centuries, refusing to fade? They emerge from the collective human imagination, perhaps penned by a single genius tapping into something ancient, and they become mirrors, reflecting our deepest anxieties, our most audacious dreams, and the perilous bargains we strike with ourselves and the universe. These aren't just tales. They are philosophical ecosystems, complex and teeming with life, waiting for us to explore them anew with each generation. Our ancestors, or perhaps the great synthesizers like Goethe, possessed an almost uncanny ability to distill vast, contradictory truths about the human condition into narratives that resonate with a power far exceeding the sum of their words. We've previously walked through the valley of suffering with Job, witnessing a cosmic wager on faith tested to its absolute limit. Job, stripped bare, questioned the justice of the divine from a position of profound loss. But there is another wager, another towering figure who stands as a pillar of Western thought, approaching the abyss from the opposite direction, not from emptiness caused by loss, but from an emptiness found within fullness. I speak, of course, of Faust, specifically Goethe's Faust, a story not just about a man, but about the very soul of modern striving, ambition, and the gnawing hunger for a meaning that seems to perpetually elude our grasp. If Job represents the trial of faith under duress, Faust embodies the trial of ambition in the face of perceived meaninglessness. It's a dialogue across millennia, two sides of the same human coin. One who loses everything and cries out. The other who possesses everything, intellectually at least, and finds only dust and ashes. This story, the legend of Faust, feels terrifyingly relevant today, perhaps more so than ever. In our age, awash with information, yet starved for wisdom, the curtain rises, not on Faust himself, but in the heavens, an echo of Job's ordeal. Mephistopheles, the cynic, the sharp-tongued spirit of negation, appears before the Lord. He isn't the monstrous devil of simpler tales. He's sophisticated, witty, almost a necessary counterforce in the cosmic balance. The Lord speaks of Faust, his servant, with a certain pride in the man's relentless, albeit flawed, striving. Mephistopheles scoffs. He sees only a fool, chasing intellectual phantoms easily diverted. And so, the wager is struck again, not on enduring suffering, but on the possibility of satisfaction. The Lord, with cosmic confidence, permits Mephistopheles to tempt Faust, uttering those crucial words, "Man errs as long as he strives." There's an incredible depth here, an acknowledgement that the path to growth, perhaps even salvation, is paved with missteps, with the very act of reaching, even if imperfectly. Failure isn't the opposite of striving, it's an inherent part of it. Then we descend to earth, to Faust study. It's not a sanctuary of wisdom, but a prison cell, cluttered with the dusty relics of human knowledge, philosophy, law, medicine, theology. Faust, old and weary, surveys his life's work and finds it utterly hollow. He knows about everything, but understands nothing of life itself. He's drowning in data, but parched for meaning. Isn't this the quintessential modern tragedy? We sit surrounded by the accumulated knowledge of millennia, accessible with a few taps on a screen, yet feel a profound sense of disconnection, of existential ennui. False despair isn't just academic. It's the cry of a soul suffocated by abstraction, yearning for tangible experience. for the vibrant pulse of existence that books alone cannot provide. He represents the stark limitation of pure intellect, the failure of knowledge when divorced from lived reality, from feeling, from connection. Into this nadir of intellectual despair steps Mephistopheles, and here, Goethe elevates the legend beyond a simple cautionary tale of selling one's soul, Faust. Ever the arrogant intellectual, even in his desperation, doesn't just passively accept the deal. He dictates the terms of a far more profound wager. It's not about eternal damnation in exchange for earthly pleasures in the conventional sense. No. Faust bets on his own insatiability. Mephistopheles will be his servant on earth, conjuring AMY experience Faust desires: love, power, beauty, achievement. The price? Faust's soul belongs to Mephistopheles, only at that precise moment, if it ever comes, when Faust experiences a bliss so perfect, a satisfaction so complete, that he wishes for time itself to stop, for Violet doll du bis so schön. Ah, linger on, thou art so fair. That is the trigger. Faust is betting that no earthly experience, no matter how intense or sublime, can ever truly satisfy the infinite longing of his spirit. He believes his striving is endless, his dissatisfaction immortal. Mephistopheles, the ultimate cynic, bets that even the most restless spirit can eventually be lulled into contentment by the right combination of worldly delights. It's a gamble on the very nature of human desire and fulfillment. Mephistopheles, true to his word, rejuvenates Faust and plunges him into what Goethe calls the small world, the realm of personal experience, sensation, and crucially, love. Faust encounters Gretchen, Margaret, a young woman of simple piety and profound innocence, guided, or rather manipulated by Mephistopheles' cunning and magic. Faust seduces her, and here, the abstract intellectual quest crashes headlong into devastating human reality. The pursuit of experience, untethered from responsibility, breeds tragedy. Gretchen's mother dies from a sleeping potion Faust provided. Her brother Valentin confronts Faust and is killed. Gretchen, driven mad by guilt, love, and societal condemnation, drowns the child she bore Faust. She is imprisoned. Condemned, Faust, horrified by the wreckage his desires have wrought, attempts a rescue, aided by Mephistopheles' magic. But Gretchen, in a moment of terrible clarity and perhaps divine grace, refuses. She recognizes the demonic influence surrounding Faust and chooses penance, her soul finding salvation even as her earthly life ends. Faust is forced to flee, forever marked by this tragedy. The Gretchen episode is excruciating. It serves as a brutal counterpoint to Faust's lofty intellectual ambitions. It demonstrates, in visceral terms, the human cost of unchecked desire, the way grand ideals can curdle into personal ruin, and the often irreparable damage inflicted when the pursuit of self-fulfillment ignores the sanctity of other lives. Are we, in our modern pursuit of endless growth, personal optimization, and technological advancement, sometimes blind to the Gretchens we might be sacrificing along the way? The collateral damage often remains unseen until it's too late. Escaping the wreckage of the small world, Mephistopheles introduces Faust to the large world, the expansive, impersonal realms of politics, history, art, and grand ambition. This is part 2 of Goethe's epic, a complex tapestry woven with mythology, allegory, and profound symbolism. Faust travels through time, encountering Helen of Troy, the embodiment of classical beauty, and momentarily finding a fleeting union between the romantic spirit and the classical ideal. He serves an emperor, conjuring wealth through the invention of paper money, a move rife with commentary on value, illusion, and the potentially hollow foundations of economic power. He becomes a figure of immense influence, a mover of societies. His ambition now transcends personal desire. It becomes colossal. almost Promethean. His final, driving obsession is a vast engineering project to reclaim land from the sea, to push back nature itself, creating a space for millions to live and work freely, productively, is a vision of human mastery over the elements, a testament to relentless progress and will. But even here, darkness clings. To achieve his goal, an innocent old couple living peacefully by the sea must be displaced. Mephistopheles carries out the task with needless brutality, burning their cottage down, killing them in the process. Faust is horrified by the means, even as he clings to the nobility of his ends. The project itself becomes a symbol of the ambiguous nature of progress. Is it creation or destruction? Is it liberation or merely a different form of tyranny? And so we arrive at the end. Faust, now ancient, blind, stands on his balcony. He hears the sound of shovels in his blindness, both literal and perhaps metaphorical. He imagines it's his workers completing his magnum opus, the final act of securing the land for his free people. He envisions this future society, not perfect, perhaps, but striving, active, earning its existence daily. And in that moment, a vicarious, projected fulfillment, not for himself, but for humanity. For the future he believes he is enabling. He finds the elusive satisfaction he wagered against. He utters the fatal words, "Ah, linger on, thou art so fair," and he collapses. Dead, Mephistopheles moves to claim his prize. The soul finally forfeit according to the pact. But angels descend, intervening, carrying Faust's immortal essence heavenward. The justification, he who strives on and lives to strive, can earn redemption still. Redemption through striving. This is perhaps the most profound and challenging aspect of Goethe's masterpiece. Faust is not saved because he was virtuous. His path is littered with cruelty, selfishness, and destruction. He caused immense suffering, yet he is saved. Why? Because he never stopped striving. His errors were monumental, but they were errors born of a relentless forward momentum, a refusal to accept stagnation or easy contentment. Unlike Gilgamesh, seeking static immortality, or Job, passively enduring, Faust actively engages, shapes, builds, destroys, and rebuilds, always reaching for more, for something beyond. Goethe seems to suggest that the ultimate sin is not error, not even causing harm in the pursuit of a goal, but rather ceasing to strive altogether. It's the dynamic energy of aspiration itself, the perpetual dissatisfaction that drives humanity forward, which holds the key to meaning and, paradoxically, to salvation. Mephistopheles, the spirit of negation, the force that constantly denies and seeks stasis, ultimately loses the wager. Because Faust, even in his final flawed vision, embraces the forward-looking impulse of creation and human potential. The implications are staggering. It suggests that meaning isn't found in the final destination, a perfect state of being, but in the very process of the journey, however fraught with error. It reframes failure, not as an endpoint, but as fuel. It places immense value on ambition, on the drive to reshape the world. Even while acknowledging the terrible risks and ethical compromises involved, Faust's story forces us to confront the duality of our own nature, the capacity for immense creation, intertwined with the potential for devastating destruction. It asks us to consider the Faustian bargains embedded in our civilization, the conveniences we enjoy versus their environmental cost, the power of technology versus its potential for misuse, the pursuit of knowledge versus the wisdom to apply it ethically. Goethe's Faust doesn't offer easy answers. It presents a complex, often contradictory, portrait of the human spirit in its relentless quest for meaning. In a world that often seems devoid of it, it celebrates the striving, the reaching, the sheer, unyielding energy of aspiration, even as it lays bare the tragic consequences that can follow. And so, we are left to ponder, in our own lives, in our own relentless pursuits, whether for knowledge, love, power, or progress. What pacts have we made? What are we willing to sacrifice? And perhaps most importantly, as we strive, stumbling and erring along the way, are we striving towards something that ultimately affirms life? Or are we, like Faust in his blindness, potentially paving the way for unforeseen destruction? Even in our grandest designs, the story doesn't conclude. It resonates, leaving the final judgment, the final meaning, perpetually in our own hands.